Residents, go in and stay in your houses. Drive the rats in the tank area.
What in the fuck is up on a Saturday night? Oh, I know. It's these three assholes yet again for tracks from the day.
I believe we told y'all we're moving this show to Sundays, but not tonight. We'll start that next week.
Exactamundo. Hence my being incognito Reaper tonight. Coming to you live from my vehicle. And
all of this is my fault because my wife planned something about 3 weeks ago and I totally forgot that it was tomorrow night.
Oh, it's totally fine. Totally fine. So, but we are pleased to bring you this is going to fucking hurt me in several places because it's a pretty sore subject. We're talking about one of the so-called kings of thrash from the thrash era, or speed metal known as Metallica. So we're going to be counting down our top 5. Feel free in the comments to completely tell us we're full of shit, but pretty sure after the last 20 years, it speaks for itself, folks. So before we get into that, let's go ahead and check in with our motherfucking brothers over at Villain Arts Tattoos. Check it out. Peekaboo! That's right. This coming weekend, motherfuckers, Mischief and Reaper will be in Chicago. So if you're in the Chicago area this coming weekend, we will be there signing stuff, hanging out, watching the show. And like I said, these tattoo conventions are not just about tattoos. It's a lifestyle. It's a family. It's art. All right. So let's just jump right into this shit jamboree we'll want to call Metallica.
Hang on. Tyler says he had a really rough day. Here, it's okay. Dan's not going to make you feel better.
When you're not feeling so good, there's the lazy nipple. It's the lazy nipple song. I bet we just fucked it up that much worse for you. So, all right, here we go. Let's do it.
All right. Now, it took me a while to decide which one to put at number 5. But I eventually ended up going with their debut album, Kill 'Em All, from 1983.
Okay, that's fair.
I thought, I was surprised that being their first album is an absolute fucking banger. And, a lot of the solos were, very dynamic and they flowed well. A lot of these bands that we talk about, their first albums didn't quite live up to par, but this one was good.
Absolutely.
I really like the song "Anesthesia is a Killer." I really like that one. That was cool. And so
Well,
was "In the Fire."
it really kind of set the tone for the Chugalicious.
Absolutely.
It's just very riff heavy. Didn't care for the way the drums were recorded. I mean, it was the 80s, but
Yeah.
come on. If Dave Lombardo could get a good... Oh, wait a minute. I forgot. Dave Lombardo's a good drummer.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure Lars didn't know how to tune his drums at that point. But that's okay.
We
Still
have
a great fucking album.
Babylon's Son about the lazy nipple.
Suckle the teat. It just creeps up on you like a bad case of the herpes. Anyway. All right. Number 5 for me, and this is going to hurt. But I do have a couple of good reasons for putting it there.
Okay.
It's the Black Album. Yes, it marked them for death as far as being a credible metal legend band, in my opinion. You can completely disagree with me, tell me to fuck off. I mean, that's okay. That's why we're here. We're having a conversation. But there are some moments on there, riff-wise, I really dug a lot of James's playing. And I'm sure, if anyone saw Some Kind of Monster, you pretty much have figured out he writes everything. Also, this is the first time you get to hear Jason Newsted. Not that it's all that great. It's just you get to hear him and realize that he actually can play bass. He's no Cliff Burton, guys. That's the sore spot for me. But there's some also moments on there vocally for James that I really liked. And there's probably, I'd say, about maybe 3 or 4 songs I dug off the record. And of course, it's the more up tunes. And if anyone says Enter Sandman, I'm going to just off myself.
I'm with you. I'm totally with you. If I never hear Enter Sandman again, although it's a fun riff to play,
sure,
I will be happy. I am so sick of that song. Every hockey match I ever went to in the 90s and the early 2000s, they played that fucking song at intermission all of the time. I'm so sick of that song. And what a cheesy video. Never cared for it at all.
Well, you got Bob Rock in the seat on this one, and
Bob who? Bob suck a bag of cocks.
Dicks. Yes. Bob the Cock. Bobby Cock Pants. Whatever the fuck you want to call that stupid fuckboy. He ruined him. He tried to convince James he could sing, and he denutted Kirk Hammett from his soloing ability. So,
Reaper, so far, I just fucking love you. I'm with you. This is my number 5 as well. And it's only my number 5 because the others are that fucking bad.
Agreed.
They're that meh. Oh my gosh. No. To me, the attitude of the band totally changed with Bob suck a pack of shit-stained cocks. Like when you watch the video of the making of this album, I'm just like, oh my God, I can totally see where this went. But they totally fucking sold out. If you watch the videos when they were touring the Kill 'Em All album, like they were talking about sellouts and things like that, and they were total metal back then. Then for them to come up with this now, this is the production sounds super clean. You can hear everything quite well. Super catchy riffs. I would have wanted to kill Bob Rock, if I was in the studio with him. And one, because I'm just not a good guitarist like those guys are. But just the way, the level of influence and the weight that he bore upon this band and changed them. I mean, tell me something else. Were they all depressed because of Cliff's passing? and they couldn't, create anymore. I don't know.
Or was it because they were on tour for like 2 fucking years on the Justice record?
Maybe.
Yeah, that was a long tour. That's because they broke through even more on that album. There's a lot of songs on here that I like. They're easy to get into.
Yeah.
But when you've grown up with the previous 4 albums and how heavy they were and how complicated and melodic they could be at times, oh my gosh, like, what the hell? I still like it, but I don't know when is the last time I listened to this on my own. Probably 20 years or so.
Yeah, I pretty much wiped my ass with it and threw it away in a month. Sorry, because I discovered Pantera, and Pantera completely put them in the ground.
Gotcha.
From that album on, absolutely, I agree.
Hell yeah. Yes.
Yep. All right, my number 4 was actually the Black Album.
Nipping at our heels a little bit.
I also one of the tracks in there that I feel like isn't talked about much, of Wolf and Man. I thought that was a really neat tune.
Riff wise, yes.
Yeah.
Lyrically, I don't know. I was a little disjointed.
No, I'll agree with that, but riff wise, that was a really cool song.
Yeah,
for sure.
A lot of this album was about James' childhood and growing up in Christian Science, and that was the religion that I was in the 90s. So I knew all about it. Boy, could I tell people about it.
Oh, it was definitely the flavor of the week. That's for sure.
Yeah. So that's what a lot of his angst was brought out against his parents and how they raised him and the things that he observed growing up as a child of Christian Science. And no, it's not Scientology. That's a fucking whack job times 10.
It's a cult.
Yeah, absolutely it is. There's some good documentaries on Scientology as well. And man, it's a really fucked up, aggressive cult too.
Oh yeah, and once they denounce you, they shun you like the Black Plague.
They turn your whole family against you as well.
Oh yeah. Christian
Science isn't that way. They're real benign.
You know who else did that? Charlie Manson. But yeah, you would think with all that angst, though, it would have produced a heavier record.
Yeah, absolutely. To me, who do you blame for this? Is this Bob Suckacock?
Oh, it's Bob the Cock all the way.
Gotta be.
Now, guys out there in Three Witches Land, if you've watched the behind the scenes on that record, there is a moment where they are having a discussion between Bob the Cock and his fucking pony dick nub on the back of his head, telling fucking Kirk Hammett, do you guys want to make millions of dollars or do you want to keep writing shit? That is exactly what he said about that. And once I saw that, that's when the CD just... And, Kirk said, I do want to make it. He's like, well, then play a solo from the heart. I'm like, whose heart? The heart in your asshole? God damn. Any hoozle. So my number 4 is gonna have to be And Justice for All. And it is not because it isn't a great album.
It's not.
It's very technical, and I think the reason they were able to pull it off the way they did is because Cliff fucking Burton wrote most of it before he died. He had a lot of influence over those songs, even from the grave. But still, it was lacking the bass that we fell in love with. It wasn't driving. And, as a matter of fact, from what I understand, they turned his fucking amp off or something because they just had a guy named Jason Newsted fill the slot, but you never heard the fucker play.
So their excuse for that was that the way, because they changed the guitar tone, they obviously changed the drum tone, and I actually liked. I liked the guitar tone and I liked the drum tone. And I remember it was a little controversial. It's not as organic and it's more kind of modern sounding like a lot of modern drums are today. I kind of like the way the snare changed because it cut through the kind of chugging, because they had a little bit of a mid-low end in their chugging for the whole And Justice for All album. But they're making
the double kick you could hear.
Yeah,
Finally.
And it sounded kind of organic as well. I kind of liked that drum tone.
I was with it.
But the excuses that they made for that, now that the excuses are very different from the three that were not Jason Newsted.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to remember what Lars and James Hetfield gave bullshit reasons. Kirk Hammett is who I think told the truth.
Gotcha.
So so what Kirk Hammett said is he remembered being there, and they said that they couldn't hear the guitars as well, and they wanted it to be a little bit more guitar oriented, and they wanted to feature the guitar, the down chugging, the down picking, and that type of chugging that they did in there, which is really unique. That tone is quite unique. And
it's very different for them.
They said Jason Newsted's bass, which Jason recorded in one day, all of the bass tracks in one day, and nobody else was there. Nobody else went to the studio the day that he recorded the bass lines. And then they said, as they were, putting in their 2 cents about the mix, they just kept saying, "Hey, turn it down some more," until you could just barely hear it. And then they said to turn it down a -3 points more after they all agreed. This is from Kirk Hammett, and I think that is the total truth on it. And
agreed.
And maybe I think it was a tribute to Cliffy,
but
the album suffered.
Big time.
It did.
It
no
it
bottom
really,
end.
It suffered behind. If you go one album back and listen to Master of Puppets, the way that Cliffy's bass comes through is fucking amazeballs.
Totally.
It's like dropping elbows.
Oh yeah, for sure. Plus, Cliff would also experiment. He would put fuzz on there. He would put some wah-wah in there too, which really brought kind of a monstrous fucking tone to everything they did, and in a lot of ways drove he was in the driver's seat for a lot of the songs. So yeah, like I said, I still love the album. Technically sound, it's very good. And even Lars, I gotta give it to him just this once. Lars's drumming was stellar on this record.
I agree.
It was pre-cocaine, pre-Madonna bullshit that has come after. He really played his ass off on that record. I felt like he had grown, and then he went right fucking back to day one.
I think he went even worse than day one afterwards. It was so predictable and so boring after that album. I mean, and even worse after. And just the songwriting really suffered after the Black Album. Everything was really just rhythm oriented, super predictable, not dynamic in a way. And if you listen to the And Justice for All, I totally agree with you. A lot of the way they structure the songs, there's some stop and go, and there's a lot of changes. And I thought he filled those spaces really well. It's like something that you do really well, Reaper. You fill those spaces and you add to it. You're not just kind of toeing the line. You're toeing the line and adding your artistry in what you do. And I felt that's the only album that Lars did it on.
Same. Agreed.
So my number 5 is Kill 'Em All.
All right.
So, and the next four, I love all of them. To me, I would say And Justice for All, because of the bass being gone, is a 4.5 out of 5 stars. And I would say that Ride the Lightning is a 4.5 out of 5 stars. And this is a 4.5 out of 5 stars, which is superbly excellent. It's like, it's really, really good. Mm-hmm. This is heavily influenced by Motorhead.
Oh, big time.
You can hear early, the first two albums, Killers and Iron Maiden, those two albums, you can hear that influence. Much more straightforward, but man, this shit bit hard. James's vocals
full of that
bit. Yeah, there was some anger and angst in them. It totally different after the Black Album, especially after that. And then he really tried to sing even more. Mm-hmm. But this album,
we won't talk about
every single song is a fucking banger for what it was back then. Straightforward metal, but fuck it, they got up there and they fucking got after it. Hit the Lights, tough song. And I would say maybe this was maybe one of his best vocal performances. It just kind of screeched like a banshee in a way. The Four Horsemen, Motor Breath. I can go through every single song. I love this album.
Yeah, there wasn't a song that was hated on that record. Not a single one.
And this is the first album when I was 19 years old. No, 20 years old. I learned every song on this album.
Nice.
I used to be able to play the whole thing. I love this album. That's my number 4. Kill 'Em All.
All right.
Hell yeah.
Well, my number 3 is actually one that Hoofed Beast and I talked about on an episode not super long ago, where we talked about horrible album covers, because I fucking loved this album, but the cover.
I knew it. I knew you would.
That album is fucking great. It's like almost got kind of a stoner rock feel to some of it, and I really liked it.
This was Metallica on Pearl Jam.
Yeah, it was kind of grungy, kind of stoner rocky. I really liked it.
I just threw up in my mouth. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Did you say the fucking load of shit? I mean, don't get me wrong, brother. I mean, I love you, but god damn.
Oh, I fucking loved it. I feel like it'd be a great album to get fucked up to. I mean, and there's kind of heavy towards the middle, but
there's not enough bourbon in the world for me to drink to get over the fact of how the epitome of suck it is. That is not Metallica, man. Those are fucking 4 guys that they just, I don't know, plucked from a field somewhere and said, here, play some shitty rock.
And by the way, get rid of your distortion. Get rid of all of your balls. No more balls for you guys. You guys are now in line with Seattle grunge, and I would dare even say a cleaner, sweeter version of grunge.
Hey, I like grunge.
It was fucking James himself that said in like 82 or 83 that we are going to take over the world. We're not apologetic. Yeah, we're going to play the heaviest, loudest, nastiest fucking metal that the world has ever seen. To suddenly fall into sissy shoes, I'm sorry. Come on, man. They should have hung it up right then and there, cut their fucking losses, and moved on.
Bob,
I still appreciate your choice, though.
Bob Suck a Cock and I think Whiskey was the main influence on that fucking album. And lots of things. So Bob Suck a Cock got half of his way on the Black Album, and then he took the other half for the next album. And just what a trendy ass hat to make them lose what Metallica was. And they like totally did an about face from all of the things they said on the Kill 'Em All album tour. Absolutely. An absolute about face.
night and day. If you saw that iconic interview that they did on the tour bus with James Hetfield and Cliff Burton, and then go watch Lars and James in an interview in, let's say, 1997, you would have had seen a complete difference in attitude, how they viewed things. I mean, they never stopped thanking their fans, but fuck. They, a Sabbath came out with a 10-year anniversary called We Sold Our Souls for Rock and Roll.
Mhm.
No, that is what Metallica did. Every time I see that front cover, I just puke. Whiskey in a jar. He even sounded like he was gobbling a dick when he sang that line. I'm serious. Whiskey in a jar.
Hey, Reaper, could you please tell us what you really think about the Load album? I want to know how you really feel about it.
That is exactly how I feel about it. At that point, I was ready to walk up to all four of them and say, "Give me your motherfucking metal card. You're never getting it back. You're banned for life for putting out the shittiest fucking music ever." Damn.
And then, I mean, to me, to just denut themselves, like they were almost playing with a clean tone throughout most of that record.
Not very characteristic of them. I understand they have to stay with the times.
Mm-hmm.
I get that, but that is not what they wanted. The metal fans did not want a bunch of pussies playing the pussiest shit I could ever imagine.
Yeah.
That's just really all I got to say. It's like a fallen fucking hero. I mean, fans were crushed, man. That's why fucking Pantera just ate up all the bones, and then we had a nice little something come along known as Cannibal Corpse. And then it was like Metallica, who?
Or I would even say Pantera. Pantera grabbed the torch.
Oh, they sure the fuck did, and ran it so far up their ass, they could taste guitar string. What number are we on? Is it 3?
Number 3.
Oh man, I feel like I gotta take the biggest diarrhea ever after thinking about that record.
Poor Gangis.
Anywho, so my number 3 is gonna be Kill 'Em All, and it's for every reason we've already discussed. Riff wise, energy wise, it had it, man. And like you said, you could clearly hear the influences that Danish metal, a lot of good stuff coming out of Denmark and Europe at the time. And that's what they were heavily influenced by. So it was prevalent. It really was. But they hadn't quite arrived just yet. You could tell that it was, where they were, but not exactly where they could be. Because you see a huge difference between Kill 'Em All and then Ride the Lightning. Not really night and day per se, but
big change.
They really brought a lot more talent to their instruments. Like they honed their craft a bit more.
Yeah.
And what do we always say? Bands have to evolve, and there's no way that was going to be their signature sound for the rest of their career. So.
Music evolved, metal evolved so much,
in such a small amount of time too. It's crazy.
I would dare say, like Number of the Beast, that was a big influence. Diamond Head, which everybody who's been into Metallica knows that from the new wave of British heavy metal. That
even Merciful Fate.
Yep, and a little bit more melodic, and the song structure was a little bit more like we started to see once Ride the Lightning came out. Just very much more dynamic. And to me, Cliffy is the one who had a lot of that. He brought a lot of that to the table, this more kind of classical mindedness, classical music kind of mindedness. So these kind of clean intros and stuff like that.
Yeah, they even said back in those times that Cliff was the only one that knew music theory. None of the rest of them did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And not a requirement, but maybe that is what made them so fucking amazeballs for those first, I would say, 4 albums were really good. I really
Yep,
liked
I'm pretty
the
much
first
just waiting
4.
for Cliff to claw his way out of the ground and try to decapitate each of them.
Yeah. I mean, what they did to Jason Newsted. I mean, if Jason Newsted recorded the bass in one day, okay, let's all meet at the studio and let's go through a tone that is acceptable so it gives And Justice for All more volume. Why don't you do
For
that?
sure.
And no, they didn't at all. They really did. Like Lars tried to say that this wasn't a part of hazing. I think it partially was a part of that, and a
Yeah.
Oh,
part of
very
it
much
was,
so.
and a part of it was maybe from their grieving process, and maybe Jack Daniels wasn't helping them as much as they would like
Yeah.
through the grieving
Yeah,
process.
for sure.
Oh, so my number 3 is Ride the Lightning.
Okay.
This is the first song that I ever learned, minus the solos, because I wasn't good enough to do the solos. I could do the part, there's kind of like an intro, really melodic solo. I could do that, but I could never do like the faster ones right when I was learning how to play guitar in 1988. But this album is a departure from Kill 'Em All, as you said. And to me, it's about a 50-50 split. And then once they hit Master of Puppets, they took the influence and the melodicism that was in this album and the bite, and they just increased it even more. And kind of the songwriting was more kind of curious and mysterious, I would say. You know, what's this sanitarium about? Because it's not as, I mean, the chorus is kind of predictable, but the rest of it isn't quite so much. And Orion, that's amazing too. But anyways, on here, the tracks I like is the absolute coldness from The Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah.
Oh man, what a
And it's
track!
really clean, and they've got the kind of, it sounds like you're in a blizzard with that wind, and just beautiful. And nobody, to me, captured that beauty of the clean guitars and then coming in with the down picking and the chugging like they did on this album. It still seems a little bit primitive, a little bit more like some of the earlier metal bands that were kind of coming out, a little bit more of a heavy metal influence in it. And but still amazing. To me, this is a 4 out of 5 stars. Yeah, the first song I learned was Fade to Black. And this is the one I think I've mentioned before. One of my friends listened to that song and blew his head off, pulled a 3-round burst out of an M1682, right, put it in his mouth, held it out, and his brains were everywhere. And I saw him right just like a minute, like right before he went down. He was in the hall. I said, "Hey, what's up, dude?" And he just went, "Not much," and just went down.
Damn.
Awful. And this is the song he had playing, the Fade to Black.
Which was actually more of a, it was meant to be an anti-suicide song. It was to bring awareness.
Right.
I guess they just didn't figure that was going to happen.
Yeah.
For sure.
Babylon's son, brother from another mother. I agree. That's the one I learned. God, for whom the bell tolls. That bass line, that song. Cliff's bass line, like it kind of sounds like a guitar.
That intro bass is sick as fuck.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
And when he played it live, he would add those like little Steve Harris isms in there. He would be like, and just ring that shit out, and then would like his fingers move so fast. It's like he could finger 5 cunts at once.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah, just
how could he do it?
I have a feeling this is Reaper's number 2, And so I'm gonna save some of it for Reaper, but like every song on here to me is a banger. Amazing fucking album, groundbreaking album. Right along, like them and Maiden were to me the two most melodic bands. When was this? 84, I think. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, 1984. Yeah, 1984. Kind of leading the way. Number of the Beast had a lot of melodic elements in it, and so did Ride the Lightning. There you go. That's my number 3.
All right. Before my number 2, what do you think, Reaper? Is it time for a commercial?
Yeah, we could do that. Let's see, what do we have at our disposal?
We have a teaser for Iron Serpent's next video.
Oh, actually, yeah, because that is about to drop, long awaited. Which is kind of funny because when we first started, we hinted at that song, but we didn't lead with that song. So now y'all will finally get a chance to hear it in its entirety. Doesn't have a date yet. All I can say is think late March, early April. Check it out. Oh, yeah. And when we talk about lyric videos, like I talked with Adam Cody of Holy Roller, we wish they would tell the story of the song, and that's exactly what this does. So I'll definitely go into more depth on that once it's released, but get ready for the thunder.
Oh, yeah. All right. My number 2 is Master of Puppets. Why'd that look, Reaper?
Just surprised.
Okay.
It's not a bad thing. I'm glad it's high up.
All right.
What song did you like, Gangis?
Well, first of all, I just love the introduction. It had almost like a Spanish guitar type sound to it, and I really like that. But
so classy and
oh yeah,
sophisticated.
I liked Welcome Home.
Their technical ability got that much better.
What?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just saying that their technical ability got so much better.
Absolutely. I also really like The Thing That Should Not Be. That's a cool fucking song. And then the solo in Disposable Heroes absolutely friggin' shreds.
Yeah. That's the Kirk Hammett we know and love.
For sure.
And that's the Kirk Hammett who butted heads with Bob Suck a Bag of Shitty Cocks.
And he just got down on his knees and slobbed his knob.
Well, he did have a ponytail done in a girl style that was up high, up on his skull instead of down low.
Just no fight left in him, I guess. As a whole, that record is just monumental in the Metallica top albums. Period. Point blank. And if we could have had Cliffy for one more record, I bet you Injustice would have been way fucking different.
Agreed, because I did not enjoy that album much at all.
Not to mention, Cliff would have said, MTV, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
He didn't care about getting no damn video on there.
What do you think he would have said to Bob Cock?
Oh man, he would have walked out, quit, or he would have just beat him with his own soundboard. I would love to watch that. There'd be nothing but blood on that motherfucker.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing about Cliffy, man. He had the attitude of the punk era, which is why he was such a huge Misfits fan. So much that he got the Crimson Ghost tattooed on his shoulder. He's talked about it quite a bit, and that's the only reason the rest of the guys ever wore a Misfit t-shirt. It was that attitude, the I don't give a fuck, I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna rape your livestock. That was just their fucking attitude, So Justice would have been so much better. So where are we at? Number 2? Is that right? Okay. So for me, number 2 is Ride the Lightning.
All right.
Reason being is because it is the opus to. Well, you probably already figured out what my number 1 is, but anyway, to what was about to happen. This was a defining moment in Metallica's career as a speed metal band. Like you said, they brought in the melodicism. There was some really awesome, like acoustic, clean stuff. Especially leading into Trapped Under Ice. As soon as that fucking riff kicks in after the, just kidding moment that they had in the intro, you basically felt like they stomped a mud hole in your ass. For sure. And Lars's drumming got better. It was still very tongue-in-cheek, still very simple, but he was really incorporating a lot more double kick, which is my arena. And to me, for Lars, that was a gutsy move because he ain't got no talent, people. Anyway, I could just rag on him all day long. But anyway, so besides the controversy with the Fade to Black, which is a really beautiful fucking song, beautifully dark, I might add.
Yeah.
If you understood the message, the permutations of what one would feel like during that time. That's what it was all about, just raising awareness. But the rest of them, shit. Ride the Lightning, the title track. Holy fuck. Really painted a picture of what it must be like to be in the electric chair. That's about as close as I want to get, So, just banger after banger. And we talked about that fucking bass intro to For Whom the Bell Tolls. Not a shitty song. Oh, God. Johnny for the win. All right. But yeah, just not a bad song on the whole record from start to finish. And they were starting to break some barriers. They were getting their sound together. They were tight like a tiger. There wasn't anyone playing out of time. Everything, it was just like robots, but not robot to the point where it didn't feel like humans. It was just like, damn, can a band really get that faster? Now, mind you, Slayer hadn't really come into their own yet, but they were pretty fucking fast. And man, you didn't have to crank fucking Ride the Lightning up much because it just fucking destroyed your ears. Loved it.
Yep.
Lars still
bad choice. Not a bad choice at all. But for some of the reasons that we've already spoken of, my number 2 is And Justice for All.
All right.
I can get with
just, that. To me, and I listened today to another person that I respect in his critiques of music, and he said, and then I also read an article about this album. And what I was trying to find out was which albums did Cliff Burton influence, and what I found, the only one that they gave him any credit on was "To Live Is to Die," and that's one of his quotes,
which is some bullshit.
So, but I can hear Cliffy in there a lot more, because after that, Cliffy is gone. Cliffy is definitely in this album more than they would admit. And I would, to me, Lars, to me, Lars is probably the one that was kind of controlling a lot of the PR and stuff about this album. Like, to me, he's the one I don't trust. He's the one I least like. But on this album, this was his shining moment. This is, in some ways, like with the power chord riffage, maybe the most complex album.
Yep.
It doesn't have the melodic notes like Master of Puppets did, and maybe not quite as much as Ride the Lightning did. But it's chuggalicious. The song One, I like the building in the song One, and I like the clean, very simple kind of notes that they play. And then once that song hits, holy shit, you gotta bang your head to that one. I love that song.
If not for the 30-second notes alone, it was so clean, super clean.
I remember the first time I heard The Shortest Straw.
Oh yeah,
just that bump 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 bump. I just fucking loved that song. It's that chugging. This is, to me, the best chuggalicious album in existence. To me, it chugs better than anything else, and I like chugging. The first song I learned off this album was One, and then I learned Harvester of Sorrow, which is quite easy. And that's a slower song, where they changed the tempo quite a bit, a lot slower. To me,
but it had elements of wuss, though. You know what I mean? Even though it was a little bit, slower tempo wise, there wasn't any signs of wussage just yet.
No, I agree.
And on that album, we had the brief interlude where we went to Oz, which I thought was entertaining. It's like, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I never really cared for that part. Yeah, I never didn't care
for it either. I just kind of felt like it was like the marching band of You're About to Die. The way they did it, so kind of comical.
Yeah,
Bread Fan was badass too.
They were talking about one time, like when they first started the Injustice for All tour, they played Injustice for All, and the response just wasn't the same as what they had gotten for whenever they played any of the Master of Puppets, Ride the Lightning, or Kill 'Em All albums. And I think it was Kirk Hammett who said, "Shit, we're not going to fucking play this song again." And what Kirk expounded upon is he felt like this album was a little bit too much guitar wankery. The songs were much longer, and that people kind of got lost in them a little bit. Because really, in this album, they are doing a lot of different things. I didn't know coming into this if I was going to choose this one or the one I chose that Reaper also chose for his number one. Which one was going to be until I listened to him again. And it was the lack of bass and the lack of the kind of classical music sounding guitars, that clean guitar, and then the dueling single notes, the harmonizing that Kirk and James Hetfield did. That's not there. in the same way that it is in the album that Reaper and I are about to reveal as our number one.
Not enough thrash element either. Even though they were starting to add those classical elements and, kind of up in their game a bit, they still never lost that.
Mm.
And I feel like it wasn't very prevalent on that particular record. So it was between that and the lack of bass, which is why I had it so low on my totem pole. I mean, I'm a drummer, man. I gotta have me some bass.
Yeah, I could have easily put Ride the Lightning in there. And I think part of it was just my personal, this is the first album I really got into. When I was in high school, I really didn't listen to these guys until I got into the Army. And this was the third album I got into.
That would have actually made them sound a little bit better.
Yeah, like they should be. It's very childish that they didn't have the bass in there. Like there's so many other things they could have done. Okay, Jason, you're kind of lost in the mix and you're kind of mudding up the mix. Okay, well let's go experiment and find a tone that's going to work, that will cut through and not muddy things up. That's what they should have done.
That would have made sense.
So I don't want to listen to Lars or James Hetfield's bullshit excuses. And I think Kirk Hammett was always kind of the third wheel. Kind of sitting in the back too. I mean, he when you listen to him talk, it sounds like he doesn't have nuts anyways.
So true. And him and Lars were very militant too, especially with business decisions at that time. And well, you saw what happened after Injustice. So that's the end of the road.
Couldn't believe it when I heard it.
All right. And my number one was Ride the Lightning.
Okay, I can get that.
While I did like Master of Puppets, I like some of the songs more on Ride the Lightning, so that's why I gave it my top spot.
Kind of like a sense of more connecting with the subject matter and things. Yeah. I could see that with you because you're big on lyrics.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways I can be too. Lyrically it was definitely a phenomenal record.
Gangis, what did you think about the Reload and Death Magnetic, all of the other albums? What did you think about those?
Death Magnetic I thought was kind of boring.
Yeah, me too.
They had a couple of halfway decent solos on it, but other than that, it just wasn't great. Reload, I felt like they took, because that's supposed to be like the second half of the Load album. And I felt like what they really did is they took all the heavy stuff that's not very good, but it's heavy, and threw it on that album, and then all the less heavy stuff on Load. And
well, let's face it. At that point, they figured we could literally take a shit on Lars's fucking snare drum and the world would love it. And that is exactly what happened.
Yeah.
Once you got the jocks and the posers and all of them, man, they'll just keep eating whatever you shovel them.
And on Reload, I thought it was funny that the song with the coolest title, one of the cool titles, which was The Devil's Dance, sounded like fucking Leonard Skinner or some shit. It was like, what?
I never bought that album. Never bought Saint Anger.
Saint Anger was horrible. I know for that album, God. I literally, what the fuck is that? It's boring.
I just saw Saint Anger on vinyl for sale at Walmart. Who in the hell would buy that fucking album?
I don't know.
That is dumbest motherfucker in the world would.
That's where Lars...
they waited 6 years after Reload, which wasn't great to begin with, but they waited 6 years after that. You'd think with that long of a wait, they could have come up with something good. But I legit turned that album off 20 minutes in because I'm like, nope, it sucks.
It was the shittiest, poorest attempt to prove to the original core fans,
Yeah.
not all the fucking meatheads that follow him now, that they could still thrash it up. And if James had 3 different people playing with him, maybe that record would have been better. But with the 3 that played with him, no.
No, it was bad.
Lars had a pick of 100 snare drums, and the one he picked was the one that was turned off.
Yeah.
What was he trying to be? Artsy?
It's like every song had the same beat by fucking Lars. Doon, ticka doon, ticka doon, ticka doon, ticka doon.
Yeah.
Like the whole, so fucking boring. Not dynamic in any way.
He was so coked up. You saw it on the fucking movie when he bleached his hair like fucking Eminem. What the shit was that?
Now they're putting out a new album later this year. Are you guys gonna check it out?
Fuck no.
I will not buy it.
No,
I will stand outside in a picket line saying, Metallica, no! R.I.P. bitches.
I've already heard 3 of the songs off of it.
You know what? And that was when the universe was trying to tell James, stop it. I'm not trying to, get on anyone's misfortune, but seriously, stop it.
Yeah, Babylon, son, I bought the Load album, but then I turned it in to the CD exchange store. Like until it sleeps was okay. That's the only song that I liked a little bit off of that album.
It still wasn't Metallica.
No, absolutely.
You might as well put a fucking techno beat to it and put on a thong and shake your ass at that point.
I bet like a techno remix of that album would actually be pretty good. Anyway.
That probably would be way better than what the fuck it turned out to be.
Probably.
For sure.
Good God.
My number 1 is most fucking definitely 3 words: Master of Puppets.
I knew you guys were going to do that.
Same with me.
You have to understand, man. If you were there, like I was, dating myself yet again, watching the evolution of this band to creating one of the most celebrated, great thrash speed albums of that time. They were at the top of their game, man. They evolved even more. Cliff was so instrumental in the writing for that record. That really explains why it was so fucking good. And again, I gotta give a little props to the turd burglar. His drumming got better on that record too. It seemed like he was evolving along with them. He was no longer tennis player Twinkle Toes McGee trying to play drums. He actually managed to put some tasty shit in there. Oh no. Honestly, John, I would have offered fucking pocket lint. Shit, I'd give him a dingleberry if they'd take it.
You could go wipe your ass and then bring him the tissue paper.
There you go.
There we go.
Hey, here you go. Suck on that. It's either that or cram that fucking shit-tastic album up your ass sideways. Because I'm not even going there. But still, yeah. Another album, start to finish, just straight fucking perfection of what they were doing. Vocally, James's voice sounded so good. He still had that rasp, but he could go high, he could go a little bit low, just his trademark, and it was good. Fucking Sanitarium, what a fucking song.
Yes.
I mean, you just kind of
Probably,
felt like you were in a padded room listening to it.
and just how dynamic this album was. Beautiful acoustic guitar coming in,
Yes.
biting electric guitars, down picking, chugging, complex, pulling you in, building with the songs, and then fucking crushing you.
Mm.
And that's what made him so great at that time.
And anthemic sanitarium, like anthemic songs.
Oh,
that you
very
could
much
sing
so.
along to.
Absolutely.
Very
Tickatoon, tickatoon, just
indicative of.
Uh-oh.
uh-oh.
Reaper!
Reaper got a bad cell.
Uh-oh.
All right, well, I'll take over for a little while.
Okay.
It's
Oh,
every
there he is.
like I want to ask Reaper, Master of Puppets or Rust in Peace, and why?
Oh, that's so tough. You know, I've always said this. This is the great debate. It always has been. Riff-wise, both albums are on the same fucking level. Not to mention, it was really Dave Mustaine that taught James how to play. So, you know, do they mirror each other? No, but can you hear Dave in that record? Yes, you can. Because Dave was already doing that shit. Any of those early fucking, like, I think it was called, Cliff 'Em All. They had some footage of them playing live with Dave, and Dave was there, man. You know, Kirk, I swear, if they would have realized that that whole first record was Dave, they wouldn't be like, oh, fucking Kirk Hammett this and Kirk Hammett that. No, Dave. Yeah, sorry about that, Batman. Damn cell phone. But style wise, I gotta pick Master of Puppets over it. It's not that I didn't like Rust in Peace. I didn't particularly care for their drummer. I just think that Lars's drumming was a bit more pivotal, and he was actually taking cues and playing to the riffs. The other guy, it was just a little too simple for my taste. That drummer just kind of struck me more as like just a good metal drummer. Master of Puppets was just, I don't know, heavier, in my opinion. 2 levels ahead.
I think Nick Menza grabbed everybody with,
yes, he did.
With the first song that they released off of Rust in Peace, Holy Wars. Because it's hard. Like, I wasn't a drummer back then, but when I saw him, because he had a big part in the beginning of that song, he was fucking cool for that song. But I would agree with
for that
you.
song, yes. But he didn't keep up that intensity throughout.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like Master of Puppets just because, to me, the entire Rust in Peace album is of the same flavor all the way through. It's an amazing flavor, but to me, Master of Puppets gives you 3 equally amazing flavors with that that acoustic guitar, and then the way that Kirk and James played together with some of those single note melodies. Harmonizing melodies, just stunning. But it's not an easy choice, because when I think about a bunch of the songs off of Rust in Peace, I fucking love them. But I'll also take James Hetfield's vocals over Dave Mustaine.
Yeah, that's a those are facts.
Facts.
And it was like, you know, here's Mustaine, the riff master general, shredding along, and here's Marty. Nothing against Marty, but he was literally hired to fucking solo. That was it. There was never
his beautiful hair.
Right.
Show off his beautiful hair.
No, John.
That motherfucking bush from hell.
Absolutely not, John.
That elicits a kiss my ass sandwich. I will not do that.
Boy,
I love you to death, John.
Reaper is dropping the fucking bows tonight.
If I have to report on one more suck ass metal band, I will have to just, I don't know, cut my beard off.
See, before we got into this, Reaper, I thought that you didn't even like the first four Metallica albums.
No.
I was
Those
kind of
four
concerned it was going to be
albums
like
are
that.
childhood for me.
Yes, me too. Well, I got into that a little bit late, but once I got into them, once I got in the Army and my friends were listening in the Rangers, and we were all like, oh, I was like, holy shit, how did I miss out on this?
Because you were fiddling with the devil's candy.
That's because I was into punk and hot.
I'm good with that.
I will have to bitch slap somebody into the next millennium if you make me do that.
Love
don't
me
even
some
try to,
Nickelback.
and don't even try to bring up Godsmack as an alternative to that.
Oh, I
No,
fucking love
thank you.
Godsmack.
Fuck no.
Just go away. That's what I wish they would do.
If we do Marilyn Manson will be hard enough because I only like one of the albums, and I'm not crazy about that album. To me, that's like a 3 or 3.5 out of 5 stars.
He was honestly, he was a hit and miss. He'd have a good run and then totally fucking change. Like he thought he was the gothic David Bowie, which he could never be. He figured that after he got the nation under his fucking thumb, that he turns around and does the Dope Show. Not a bad album. Don't get me wrong. But night and day, it's no Antichrist. How could you possibly sell that?
Nothing after Antichrist was like Antichrist, or what wasn't even close.
No. But Hollywood got real fucking close though. In its like rawness. It was like he got some of that anger back because let's face it, Dope Show, Mechanical Animals, that did not do very well for him. The most striking thing that he could have done for that whole record was put on a pair of fake ninnies. And let's face it, they didn't even have nips, so you couldn't sell it that good. It's like, you might as well strap fucking camel humps on his chest and go, oh, look at you.
His stage show for the Antichrist Superstar album was like what he carried, the persona that went along with that.
Oh yeah, nobody else would have done that.
Amazing, fucking amazing.
Alice Cooper didn't even achieve that.
Not even fucking close. No,
Ozzy didn't really either.
He was a genius, and I loved his interviews where he took on kind of like populist America. I loved listening to his interviews too.
Well, unfortunately, drugs got in the way, and suddenly he became a megalomaniac.
Yeah. My honorable mention is Garage Days, and not all of them because there's some real shitballs on this. But from the first Garage Days that came out in I think '87, when they were rehearsing and practicing for the new album, like I loved that whole kind of EP-ish kind of cover.
For sure.
But all of those were good. Green Hell, when he did the 2 Misfit songs, I was like, fuck yes. The Diamond Head, like did so many amazing ones. And then he did, I think they did Die Die My Darling, which was okay, even though they did it like 10 years later. I thought that was pretty good. Queen's Stone Cold Crazy is a really good cover. And I'm
very well.
I usually don't like covers so much, but that fucking riff and what James Hetfield did for that thing is fucking amazeballs.
I have no honorable mentions. They don't deserve it.
I don't have any either.
And actually, I kind of need to go. My wife is getting testy.
Okay.
You don't want an angry mischief. That's never fun.
No.
All right.
Well.
Okay, guys, it was fun. Next week, do we want to announce? We're gonna do Sunday next week.
Yeah.
Yes, totally fine by
Okay.
me.
And this is just going to be at 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock Eastern time, 8
Correct.
o'clock Central.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's right. What's a sinful Sunday like us going on and on about how much we hate Lars and Bob the Cop?
Now, are you going to be able to do this one, Reaper, because you're going to be in Chicago?
Yes, I will have my laptop with me, and
Okay.
there's
All right.
nothing better than hotel Wi-Fi.
Okay.
All right.
And if not, I do have cell phone backup, so if you lose me on that, I can pick up my phone.
Okay.
Gotcha.
And we'll
All
see
right.
everybody next week.
Yeah, thank y'all for
All right.
tuning in, and I don't know. I got a bag full of puke over here. It's terrible. I had diarrhea, like I just ate some bad Taco Bell. Thank you for suffering with us, but at the same token, thank you for helping us to at least celebrate the 4 best
Thanks.
records that they have ever done, because they will forever be priceless. But unlike James and Lars's and, well, Miss Kirk Hammett's No Nuts, No Dicks,
Mm.
you better stay heavy.